So I want to use this video to talk more about how I'm using Runway to turn images into videos. So let's pretty much get into it. So for the most part for my game, whether it be for the game trailer or the actual game itself or such, I've been using Runway to turn images that I made with ChatGPT to videos. Now the way I did it is somewhat straightforward. What I basically did is I noticed that Runway has different amounts of, well, for reference, you get a certain amount of credits when using Runway. And depending on the type of, I guess, the quality of the video, how long you want the video to be, if you want that to be audio with the video, depends on how many credits that it's going to use. Now, for my cutscenes, sometimes I try and, implement videos where I can. Obviously, I'm not going to have videos for the entire game because that would cost so many credits and it would take me absolutely forever. But I figured at least for my game, it would be nice to implement videos every now and then just to make things feel a bit more alive. Now, one of the things I basically did is I basically got ChatGPT to take a look at basically they've got like a page for all the credit cost stuff, and I basically got it to make me a prompt where ideally I'd be able to copy and paste a prompt into ChatGPT, and I'd be able to describe what I want, and it could then give me a prompt which I could then give Cursor. And ideally, and for the most part, it would only cost maybe like 25, 30 credits to do, which isn't that much considering I think I was getting like 600 a month or something. And so that's been okay. Now, I will say this. Obviously, the less credits it's going to cost, the less, I guess, accurate it can be. Sometimes I would do videos and it would be a bit wacky. Other times it did it pretty well. So for the most part, doing, or at least asking it to make better videos is going to be obviously more ideal, but it's going to cost more credits. Now, one of the things I did actually quite recently, which I'm really happy with, is I was able to animate my studio logo. I'll probably play a video of this sort of after this just now. But for the most part, I was really, really happy with how this turned out. This, for reference, I think costed me like 300 out of my like 600 credits, so like half of them. But I was able to make this first try. What I actually ended up doing is I uploaded two images. I uploaded an image of my logo without the sword and then an image with my logo with the sword. And I basically gave ChatGPT a prompt to basically say, hey, look, can you start with this one, have a sword come down into the castle, and then finish with that one. And I'd say it did a pretty good job. So that's something I'm going to be using as well. So I'm really quite happy with that. Now, I've also used, I've used videos for my game. And that really has just been giving ChatGPT some of my images and saying, hey, look, what do you think would be quite good to be actually put into videos? Sometimes I'll look at some cutscene images I've made and I thought, yeah, that would be good at the video. But for the most part, it is ideally trying to think of, right, well, what do I want this to do? Then speak to ChatGPT or whatever AI you use and say, hey, look, this is the sort of thing I'm looking to do. Can you give me a prompt for Runway to help me do this? And ideally, you want it to be quite specific in terms of, well, if you've got a preference for the model, if you've got a preference for whether you want audio or no audio. Audio costs quite a bit. So for the most part, I was doing no audio apart from that studio logo bit, and so on and so forth. Now, I plan to ideally keep making videos. Obviously, I'm nearing the end and hopefully will be finishing Scarred Steel within the next 20 to 30 days from now. And once I've done that, chances are the videos that I'll be making will be somewhat sparing, but a lot more meaningful. I think for this project, Scarred Steel, I've used videos just a bit sort of throughout. But I think now, at least when I'm thinking of my next game, I'm going to be a lot more cautious of actually how I go and use videos moving forward. But this is pretty much how I've been using it. There hasn't been anything crazy or specific. A lot of it really is just having an image that you want to do and figuring out how you want to adapt it, and going from there. And again, with something like Runway, it's really important that you look at the credit usage stuff. for me, it really was just taking a screenshot of that, giving it to ChatGPT and saying, look, I want to make quite a few cutscenes, but I also don't want it to cost too much. I don't want there to be any audio. I want the cutscenes to be, 5, 6 second long or something. And it will then just basically give prompts to give to Runway to make things very specific. But yeah, a lot of this stuff, especially with using AI, whether we're doing videos, images, is simply down to the context you give it. If you can give a good context and such, then that is the sort of stuff that's really going to help in the end. But that's pretty much what I've been doing so far. If you've got any questions, let me know. With that said, I'll chat soon.